first things first, if you're going to be jacking up your F-Type, you might want to think about whether you need to take the wheels off. In this case, we're going to do some work on the cats, some work on the brakes, and some battery stuff, but that's all in the boot, so it doesn't matter. So anyway, I need to get to the brakes, I need to take the wheels off. You need a locking wheel nut socket, and this is normally stored in the boot of the car. Underneath the boot floor, next to the battery, there's a polystyrene insert which contains a can of tyre repair foam and this socket. Then, once you've got that, you'll find one of the wheel nuts is different. So it's this one in this case. Twist it, twist it, twist it, and then it should pop into place. Next, you need a brake bar and a socket. This one is a 19mm. This little yellow insert around the yellow protective coating is nylon, and that's designed to stop you from scuffing your alloy wheels. So loosen the wheel nuts off one by one. You don't need to go mental, just half a turn or one turn is plenty. And that's basically just so that you don't have to use an impact gun or really struggle once the car is jacked up. And repeat that for the other three wheels. You can go, like I say, half a turn, one turn, and the wheels are not going to fall off the car, but it'll make it a lot easier to remove them and break the nuts off when they're up in the air and stop the wheel from spinning idly. Alright, so jacking up your F-Type then, or any car for that matter. Top one is a scissor jack. They normally come in the boot of a car with a little toolkit, and they're designed for emergency wheel replacements when you've got a puncture. You shouldn't really use them to perform any sort of maintenance because they are lethal. They're really unstable, they fall over dead easy, and without an axle stand you'll probably kill yourself to death. This orange one, this is a cheap bottom end Halfords jack. It's okay, it's reasonable, it's good for small lightweight 3-door hatchbacks and stuff like that. Sort of Ford Fiesta type size cars and similar. Bigger cars it probably struggles a little bit, and it doesn't really have enough of like the height to get underneath something properly. Like I say, good if you're starting out, and much better than the scissor jack definitely. But we're going to use something else. We're going to go over here, and this is a Weber 2-ton trolley jack. There is a reason that nearly every single tyre bay in the country uses these jacks. They're just dead good. Like I say, you'll get by with something cheap from Halfords, no problem. You can get lightweight aluminium racing jacks as well from places like Machine Mart and a load of others. Look after your jack, get a good one, and it'll look after you. You should always, always, always use an axle stand with a jack. If you look in the manual for your car, there'll be a diagram, and there'll be little arrows pointing to the front of the car and the rear of the car. And what they correspond with are little indentations normally on most modern cars nowadays. The plastic side skirts and what have you, the trim down here. So if this is the rear wheel of the car, just underneath here, I can feel it here, there's an arrow. And that arrow is pointing to where it is safe to jack the car from. That way you're not going to bend any brackets, buckle anything, or put the jack through the floor of the car. We'll move the camera now and we'll get you a better look at that. Alright, so you'll have to excuse the angle and the lighting because I'm laid down on the floor to film this. So this is the rear wheel of the car. This is the plastic side skirt and trim. And if you can just see here, there's a little arrow moulded into the plastic. And that's indicating this bracket here, which is like one of the rear subframe tie-in points. So this is the strong part of the car that we're going to jack it on. This here, as you can hear, is all plastic trim. So the jack needs to actually go, if that's my hand, quite far under. So it's probably about 6 inches in until you get to this bracket. So that's the jack roughly lined up now. Up with the strong point that we're going to jack from. A peculiarity of this car is it's very low. It's difficult to get anything under. And if we try and jack this, there's a chance the jack body will contact all the plastic and damage it before it actually starts lifting the car. So I'm just going to stick a bit of 2x4 in like this, and then that way the 2x4 spaces out the jack head, and then we'll get a lift on it basically without damaging the side skirt. So let's get it pumped up. So this jack is nearly at its full height. It's quite normal for the front wheel of the car to come off the floor as well. Now the next thing we're going to do, before we do anything else and start moving things around, is get an axle stand underneath. Positioning your stand under the car then. So I've selected the big chunky ones because I want the narrower ones for the front, because I've got a bit of, I need a bit of space for what I'm going to do. You could put it a few different places on this car. I'm going to select this part of the subframe here. It's good to do this laying down at arm's length, because if the car does fall off the jack for whatever reason, or if the jack decides to suddenly let go, you can then rip your arm out and hopefully you won't be crushed and pinned to death, which is nice. So just like that, the stand is pretty much wedged into place there. Just going to fine tune that a little. So now we're going to lower the jack a little bit. And we're going to do that softly and gently, because it's going to want to try and settle on that stand. So I've took quite a lot of the weight off there, and it looks like the stand has got it. Shifted around a little bit, but that's fairly normal. So it's a case of rinse and repeat then to jack up the other side of the car. What you might notice is that the back end is already off the floor on this side. It's got a little bit of a lean on it. That's just because the chassis on this car's stiff. Some cars have got more suspension travel, so that wheel might still be on the floor. So we're going to rinse and repeat, look for our little marker, find our strong point, get the block of wood lined up nicely and stuff. Just a little bit of jacking, slip that stand in. So let's do that. So I've took the weight off the jack there. What I might do if I was slipping under the back of the car is just sort of take a tiny bit of the weight with the jack again. That way the jack sort of got it and the stands have got it, just in case one or the other fails. You've got that sort of safety of having two lifting mechanisms there. So if you look at the stands then, you can see that we've got the same number of teeth out on both the ratchets. There's about 3 teeth showing there. 1, 2, 3. So they're both at the same height, and the footprint of the stands is pretty much the same as well. Maybe the left one's a little bit more rotated, but it doesn't really matter that much. So that's the back of the car jacked up nice and safely. Yeah, not much more to say about that. Alright, change of scenery. We're at the front of the car now. So the little arrow that in this case on the front is pointing to this raised sill section here, which is quite dense aluminium. That's where we're going to jack on. Front end of the car jacked up then. Chassis rail here, you can see where it's like overlapped, so it's like double thickness at this point. So that's where I'm going with the axle stand, and then we'll do the same for the other side. Wheel removal then. So I've left the jack in down that end, just in case anything goes wrong with this and it slips off the stands or whatever, because I've got my legs under it at the moment. I've took all the wheel nuts out except for one at the top. The locking wheel nut is still here, but it's loose. Next thing, start loosening this nut then that is holding the wheel on. And then what I've done, I don't know if you can see really with the camera, is I clamp one of my knees to one side of the wheel and the other knee to the other side. Like that. So the wheel is basically held on my knees. That saves my back and saves me from dropping and marking the wheel as well. So that's the last nut out. So then I sort of shimmy the wheel onto my knees, and then I can drop it down onto the floor and then try and move it away from me in this really narrow space. So in a nutshell, that's how to jack up a car, put it on 4 axle stands and remove the wheels safely and properly. I hope you found it informative and useful. I would say enjoyable, but I think it's a pretty dull subject. Thanks very much for watching. If you've got any comments on things I can do better, ways I can improve it, please do let me know. other than that, that's about it. Thanks very much. Bye bye.